Hey everyone, Jessica Morrison, realtor with FC Tucker Company. That's right, I have switched as of November 1st. Very excited to be back with my former company. I was with them for 6 years, missed my family ultimately, and very, very excited about that change. But we are back today for an Indy Home Interviews new episode with new construction. This time we sit down with Susan Edel to talk about Miles Farm and the DR Horton community. Susan, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the invitation. I'm happy to share all the knowledge that I can.
Sure. And sorry if you hear my stomach growling in the background. It's been a very full day of real estate. So very grateful for that. But why should we consider moving to Miles Farm?
Well,
Or
Miles,
I always get the subdivision names mixed up. Did I say that right?
yes, Miles
Okay.
Farm.
I just need
Mhm.
to put it up front and center on my computer.
Yeah. So, yeah, actually, you may see it on the website as
Yeah.
Reserve at Miles Farm and Estates at Miles Farm. So, currently, we have two sections, and the Estates, it has a few more options included, a little bit bigger lots. The Reserve is a little more lower price point. So you may hear it both ways, Miles Farm or the Estates and the Reserve. So that's all within Miles Farm.
Okay. So how many home sites are we talking? Is this brand new? Is this a previous community with the new section? Asking these basic questions, even though I know the answers, just
Mhm.
because a lot of times these videos help people who are relocating and are not at all familiar with Indianapolis, but are trying to just understand their options
Mhm.
across the city. So let's talk about that.
Okay, well, Miles Farm just opened about 2 months ago, so it's very fresh. We have not had a closing in here yet, so we have several sold, and we're just trying to get them built and closed and get the process rolling. But we're, like I said, we're located in Danville, Indiana, so we're just west of Avon. Very small town charm feel. It's a little bit in the country, so it's nice and quiet. I feel very safe here. Um, so we're going to have about 8 to 900 units, and we're going to have a variety of product lines. We're going to have the estates collection. We're going to have the reserve. We'll also have paired villas, and we'll also have low maintenance and ranch single family. So there should be something for everyone, different price points. We're going to have an amazing amenity center, which I can either talk about now or I can talk about later.
Yeah,
So,
we can go ahead and dive into that. I mean, amenities always sound great, and I mean, it's a big community. 8 to 900 units is a lot of homes, but from when you and I were talking, it sounds like what's really fun about these bigger communities is that you kind of have different pockets of the neighborhood, and so depending on the vibe that you're going for, the type of home that you're interested in, it feels like its own, like rightfully so, its own community, but like there's
mhm,
something special that um, I think it's really curious to see these new products come forward with PUDs where you've got different types of lifestyles all together, and
mhm,
the goal of having just different lifestyles, instead of it just being single family ranch homes and two-story homes,
mhm.
we're going to have more mixed generations living together in a higher density area, which I think is really cool. Hopefully that um, just brings diversity in community. So I'm going to go ahead and give you permission to share your screen and
Okay.
attempt to do that in a quick capacity. Zoom likes to reformat things sometimes. There we go.
Yeah, so this is a rendering of the amenity center that we'll be putting in our section two. As you can see, there is definitely something for everyone. We're going to have a really nice swimming pool. There's going to be a splash pad, a little kiddie pool. Obviously, the clubhouse, which you should be able to rent out or use for community events. Pickleball, which is a hot commodity right now. It's super popular in Indianapolis area, so I'm really excited to learn that. I haven't learned it yet, but I that is on my to-do list for this year. And then we'll also have a fire pit. There's a playground in this section, but there's also going to be a playground that we've already built between our estates and our reserve collection. So there's going to be multiple playgrounds. There's going to be a fire pit near the amenity center. There's tennis courts. There's going to be nature trails. So this is just kind of a small blippet of the actual amenity center.
So hold on, Susan. We don't see your screen.
Oh, you don't?
So that was a great overview. Just wanted
Okay.
to clarify.
Well, I did pull it up on my screen.
So
So
you hit the share screen icon down at the bottom.
let's see, what does that look like?
It's bright green.
Okay, and I am not seeing that.
So do you see the toolbar at the bottom for Zoom that says,
Oh, here we go.
yeah, there you go.
Okay, I made my screen bigger, so I did not see that. Do you see that now?
Nope. Third time's the charm.
Here we go. Let's try this.
Yeah. Like I said,
Okay.
third time's the charm.
Okay. So now you can kind of see what I was talking about. There's a lot of things right in the amenity center area for everyone. You can go make s'mores at night by the fire pit. During the summer, obviously, you can swim in the pool, and the little kids can be in the kiddie pool or else the splash pad. So it's going to be a very active area. I feel like the lifestyle is going to be much more to what people are looking for right now. You can walk to do a lot of different things. So in that area, we're going to have that. Like I said, there's another playground, but Miles Farm as a whole is going to have, oh my gosh, I'm trying to count right now, probably 8 to 10 like water areas like lakes and ponds. There's going to be a lot of trails walking around those. We're also going to have an athletic field house. There's going to be a sports field in the southeast corner, closest to Danville, because we're just on the very outskirts of Danville. There's also going to be a lot of green space. There's a business zone, which is on the southwest corner. So basically what that is going to be, and I don't have a lot of detail as to who is going in there, but on the bottom level, there's going to be businesses, restaurants. So there'll be things to do within the community, basically, that you can walk to very, very quickly. And also, too, we're close distance to walking into Danville, into the town square, and there's all kinds of things to do on the town square. There's Mayberry Cafe, which has been there forever. There's little shops, there's little restaurants. There's always something to do in town. They just had Scare on the Square for Halloween. And I think in about 2 weeks, they're going to have lighting of the tree for Christmas. So they do have a lot of events on the square. It's a very, very active community. And I've been in other small communities, and I feel like Danville is, they're really on top of it for families to get together and do things that are safe and fun for the kids and for any age, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Was there anything else on the screen that you wanted to show us, or any other images by chance?
Yes, so I do have another image. I will show you the current section that we are in right now. So this is section 1.
It's still the amenity center image. So you'll have to go back to share screen and switch.
Okay.
It's okay.
There we go. Can you see this one now? Hold on.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So this is the section that we are building and selling in right now. The entrance currently is off of 36 and Mackey Road. So you would take Mackey Road into the community. Now, eventually our main entrance is going to be off of US Highway 36. And you will come in there, and that's where our model home will be probably in a year or so. And we're in the process of moving dirt there and getting the amenities going. Hopefully, most of those, and I use that loosely because it's construction, right? Will be open next year. I wouldn't imagine the swimming pool will be quite open yet by next summer, but I'm hoping some of the other things, the playground, the fire pits, things like that. It just kind of depends on the weather and approvals and timing of everything. But So you can see on the top right side of that map is our estates. So that is the section that's a little bit more expensive. It has a little more options, bigger lots. And then kind of where you see the U or the loop-de-loop, that's the reserve section. So a little bit lower price point. We still have a lot included in all of our homes. Obviously, the build process itself, we use a zip system, which is a commercial grade product, super durable, helps with heating, cooling bills. It's all the hardy plank on the exterior. So the outside of the homes are very sturdy. It gives you the good bones of the house. And then inside the homes, we have a lot of added features, all stainless steel, Whirlpool appliances, including the refrigerator. We have quartz countertops, we have laminate flooring, tiled showers. So when you come for a visit to the model home, what you see in the model home is basically what's going to be in most in all of our inventory homes, other than a few features that are going to be different between the estates and the reserve.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So to clarify roughly, I know each lot is gonna vary in size roughly, but what is the average lot size between the two collections that we have here?
I would say it's about a quarter of an acre. Some of the bigger ones on the corners probably, could be up to maybe a third of an acre.
Okay.
But we do have a ton of green space. So like I tell my clients, when you build and you move into some of these homes, you have all this green space around you that you can definitely use. You can kick the ball, you can, use it for other things for the kids or however you want to use it. You just don't have to mow it. So it makes it even better because you can use that space and you don't have to keep it up necessarily. And you can do fishing in the ponds if you want to. So there's just a lot around that area. And if you can see the little green space between kind of on the top right side of the U,
Mhm.
that's the first playground that we've already put in. So it has a nice little walking path with trees.
Sure. So how
Yeah.
many sections are there gonna be?
They haven't really mentioned actually how many sections. I am guessing four, but don't hold me to that. They have not come out and said, I know section two is going to be the amenity center and more housing, but I don't know how much they're dividing that. It's going to be about a 10-year project though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for the quantity of homes, there will be more sections because,
Mhm.
I mean, just for the size of the community and then like you said, it's a 10-year project because that a lot of what you described is very there's a lot of planning and
Yes.
building involved with that. And that'd be very impressive if they could knock out 800 to 900 homes with all that you've mentioned in just
Mhm.
less than 5 years. But uh
Yeah.
so and I like the idea. I mean, again, we're not holding the builder to this, but I always appreciate when uh communities do the amenity components up front
Mhm.
because I think it really helps residents offset living through construction, especially
Mhm.
if they're one of the first people to get into the community.
Mhm.
I've seen some where they kind of do the amenities component last, and I get kind of there's two sides to that
Mhm.
approaches to that argument, do it at the end and then it's done. Then you've got a lot longer life on that before you have to start really addressing things versus because if it takes 5 years for the community to get completed, then it's brand new when it's done versus, okay, it's already aged 5 years and the community's done. But and then
Right.
also depends on how they structured things financially because I've heard it quoted that, to put a pool in, and I'm not saying this is what it's costing DR Horton in today's market, but at one point I heard uh, a builder say that, it was 500,000 for them in cost to put in a pool because of the cost of land and, like they could put a home on that instead. And, so like
Mhm.
their total costs, um, of how they've structured that is interesting. So
Right.
I appreciate at least that at the beginning, there's going to be potentially a playground involved. Um, and certainly lots of green space at the front is nice. you're a resident, probably not a good idea to eat the fish that you catch, but it's also nice that that's allowed. Do you know, this is a very technical question up front. I don't expect you to know the answer. Do you know if I assume this community will definitely be managed by a homeowners association, and if so, will that be something that the residents can control rather than a particular like third-party management company?
So typically with any builder, you're going to have a management company. Um,
Mhm.
it's controlled ultimately by the builder, but we do hire the management company to handle the day-to-day activities. But things do go through the process of DR Horton initially.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm not exactly sure, but I think typically the HOA will convert over to the homeowners. And don't quote me on this, but I think it's like when 80 to 90% of the residents move into that community.
Mm.
That can change as well too, though, if you have, I've seen in the past where I've worked with other builder where the low maintenance section, maybe that's all sold out first. So maybe they would let that section control everything and they would elect their own board. The management company will help them convert and help them through that transitional process.
Mhm.
I have not heard on this because we're so new
Yeah.
exactly what percentage that'll be for us, but it is a little different for different builders and for different communities, quite honestly, because what we sell and how we sell in Miles Farm could be different than what we sell in Quail West, which is also Danville.
Yeah.
It's just different, a lot of different product lines. We just have so much going on, so many people involved in the city that um, we have to follow what the municipality is asking as well, which adds time and can add cost to the process.
Certainly. And I don't mean for that to sound ignorant, but certainly with new construction and when things are brand new, it's going to be maintained by the builder and whatnot.
Mhm.
My understanding, and maybe if those of you watching this know this and it's a piece of different information, let me know. But my understanding is that once a community is completed, that it can be managed by an HOA third-party company for 19 years. And I don't know why 19. I don't know how like somebody arrived at that particular number, but it's my understanding that after 19 years, the homeowners can very much assert um, reclaiming ownership of that property management. But I think that's one of those things, Susan, where it's a gray area. It's not talked about very much. And I actually was at the IAR legislative conference. It's like a month ago or something. It's crazy how fast time flies, but I was talking with one of the attorney generals and he's like, yeah, it's kind of a gray area. And so if you have a dispute and you're watching this in your HOA, definitely, or you feel like your HOA is acting unethically, which is where I'm going with this, definitely utilize your attorney general's office and
Mhm.
try to field some of that out. But there's good and bad with third party management companies. Sometimes it's a good thing because you get people in your neighborhood who get power hungry and abuse it. So I know that's a tangent, but
I feel
I
like,
also feel like it's a discussion that's not had enough. So
yeah, I feel like too with an HOA, it's really only as strong as your neighbors.
mhm.
Because obviously the management company isn't going to come drive through your neighborhood on a weekly basis. So if there's something that, is against the rules, because you're all going to receive covenants. So it states, if you can have fencing, where you can have your fencing, how high your fencing can be, what materials for the fencing. There's all guidelines in there, whether you can have a shed or not a shed, in-ground pool, above ground pool. So obviously anything exterior, the homeowner is supposed to fill out a request form, send in a plat map to identify where they want to put the exterior object, no matter what it is. So that does go through the HOA to get approval. However, unfortunately, I have had homeowners that feel that's not necessary,
Mhm.
and they get caught, so to speak, or the neighbors might report it. Because ultimately the covenants are supposed to protect you as a neighbor. So you don't have, um, a shed in the back that's not well maintained, or, you don't have 10 cars sitting in front of a house, or so ultimately is to protect the homeowner. But again, it's your neighbors keeping the management company or whoever's in charge at that time, whether it's the board, um, to keep them informed on what's going on around the community, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think there's nothing more irritating than when you follow the rules and somebody else doesn't. And, we've all said, hey, we're gonna live here and follow these rules. And then someone thinks they're the exception.
Right.
And, then the other side is, well, it's my property. I want to do with it what I want. And I hear that, but um you're also living in community with other people, and there's something to be said for, I realize you might really want a particular style of fence, but if the fence is supposed to be black iron all throughout because that will be more aesthetically pleasing, I understand you have an opinion, but we need to honor what we all agreed to when we signed a contract, and that's what that comes back to. So, I think if you're a consumer who wants to really have the freedom to do particular things with your property, that's kind of on you and the realtor that represents you to really ensure that you have thorough due diligence with reviewing those covenants,
Right.
before you get your heart set on living somewhere. Because if you want to be able to park your trailer out front for your small business, which I'm very pro small business, but if you're going to be parking a trailer out front all the time, that's not an appropriate place for that to stay all the time. And so, and if the community allows it, that's awesome. But again, and I don't mean to overly exhaust this point. It's just, I think sometimes with new construction, people can underestimate HOA things, or think they can get away with
Right.
things. And then they get frustrated when they get fined in letters. And it's like, well, we set this expectation up front. So just make sure you do your due diligence. But speaking of HOAs, do you know what the monthly or yearly HOA fee is going to be for this community with all of the amenities that are involved?
Yes, actually, it's only $450 a year.
Wow.
Obviously, there's a guideline and that can increase, just like any HOA in any community. But right now, it's super reasonable. It's $450, and it's probably because we're going to have so many homes in here that's splitting the cost, so it's keeping it super reasonable.
Yeah. Was there anything else on the screen share that you wanted to
No.
show? Okay, because we can exit the screen share mode now. So because otherwise it's just perpetually having the screen up here and people can't see us talk. There we go. Yeah, I think that's really great. So for those of you who are not aware, I mean, $450 a year for all of those amenities is really great. I've seen some other communities charge like $2,000 a year for something like that. So again, and that's going to be offset differently. And certainly this number could change over time. So definitely consult the builder's website, and Susan for any new information at the time of after this video has been recorded. So you mentioned some unique things about this community, a little bit about DR Horton. We've also had several previous interviews that really go in depth about why DR Horton. Is there anything you really feel passionate about that DR Horton does well for consumers?
I mean, DR Horton obviously is America's largest builder, but it's very, it seems very family oriented. We're very focused on the actual homeowner and what their needs are. I personally just purchased a DR Horton townhome, and the process was amazing. And I've been in the industry for quite a while. It is just very one-on-one. It's very personable. We have different programs to help you, whether it's financial, whether we are offering contingencies again. If you need to sell your house to purchase a new house, we'll explain that process for you. So we are here for you. Our goal is to find that perfect house for you. And, throughout that process, I would be your personal contact throughout the time. And depending, like our our business plan basically is selling inventory homes. You purchase a home, ideally you'd close in 30 days. So we don't do actual builds, which means you will not pick out the lot, you'll not pick out the floor plan, you won't pick out the options for that particular home. We would do that all in-house. We pick out the floor plan, we mix it up throughout the community. We pick the elevation out, which is the front appearance of the home. We pick out the options in the homes. And so basically, but right at this point here in Miles Farm, we have some that aren't going to be ready in 30 days because obviously we've just started the process here in Miles Farm. But ideally, that is kind of our business plan. And so it's a pretty quick process, and you have all the warranties that come with it. We're all smart home equipped. So what that means is you'll have an Alexa with an app and you can go on and like right now, if I wanted to, I could open my garage door or I can unlock my video doorbell for someone to come in the front door if I have maintenance that needs to come or a contractor that needs to do work or maybe my kids that need to come into the house. So it is very, smart. I don't know how else to explain it. And I'm not a huge IT person, but I am loving it. I've only been in my townhome for probably about a month and a half, and I'm loving it. I can turn my lights on if I want to. I can turn my Roomba on and clean my townhome if I want to while I'm gone. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's nice to see it from the buyer side versus the seller side.
Yeah, I think I'm on board with the concept with reservations and that you definitely need to take very thoughtful steps to have good security around a lot of that because those devices can be pretty easily hackable. So I'm not saying that to insert fear, but just make sure to like have a private Wi-Fi network and
Right.
My husband's in IT, so he can speak that language more, but just it's kind of crazy. You hear some of the stories with that. So, just be thoughtful as a consumer. Tech is great. It's a tool. We need to learn how to use it. I'm excited for younger generations who grow up with this to, as we age, it's like, man, I had a dial-up phone or dial-up internet or whatever. And, it's just, it's neat to see things evolve. And we've got robot vacuums too. And it's such a blessing to not have to dedicate that time for that particular task. So just be thoughtful as a consumer if you do that. And I love that that's included as a feature. Can you, clarify? So the smart thermostat, Ring doorbell, was there anything else as a smart device that was included in the home?
So it comes included with a smart switch as well.
Okay.
You can do your thermostat, open your garage door, look at your front door for the video doorbell. You can unlock your door. There's 5 main things. There's one other thing that I cannot think of at the moment. And then you can add more switches and stuff. So it's a deco switch system. So what I did was I purchased more like motion sensor lights. So I have it in my laundry room, the powder room, in my master closet. And I also have night lights I put in the bathrooms. So you don't have to plug in a night light. It's actually within the switch. And I can pull those out and put those anywhere in the house that I want to. So it's kind of fun to play with the lights, and there's a lot of different switches included. We have tons of lights in the house. So yeah, it's been kind of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely funny. Do you have a touch faucet by chance?
I did buy it. We don't have it included, but I did put one in.
Yeah, it's really funny when you get used to certain conveniences like that. And then you walk into a different home that doesn't have those features, and it sounds like this is totally a first world problem type thing.
Yes.
Like 100%. But it's just funny, oh right, this is different. I need to physically turn on the faucet instead of tapping it with my hand or something.
I know.
So it's funny how you get used to those little conveniences, but they can be really helpful if you have dirty hands or have a big laundry basket and can't see. So that's really great. Was there anything else that you just, I mean, I love that that's a personal testimony to you, like from your experience as well. Do you think with the market softening, and this is entirely speculative, but do you see DR Horton potentially in the future allowing people to customize more of their homes, or do you think it's going to be spec homes for quite a while?
Well, we were initially um, customizationable. You know, you'd pick out the lot and you would build the house. But then when COVID hit, they geared more towards the specs. And now that's strictly what we are, at least in this division.
Mhm.
Not sure if that is 100% accurate for every division in the country, but that is how the Indianapolis division does it.
Okay.
I mean, anytime you're in construction and in the industry, as you know, things change. What I say right now, 15 minutes later, I could get an email and say, oh, we just changed that.
Yeah.
So when you're in, it's super important for anyone that's listening that's in the home purchasing, search right now. Sit down with your rep, no matter who it is, ask them the questions, make a list, ask the questions to every single builder, write it down. It's kind of a process of elimination, right? But don't ever assume. So, no question, I don't feel like is ever an inappropriate or a stupid question
Mhm.
because it's a learning process, right? You guys come in to see us. We're here for you. We're here to answer your questions. And I don't know initially when I meet you what your level of expertise is in purchasing a home or in financing or in building a home. So I'm here to educate. So ask the questions. That's what that person is there for you in the model homes. They're there for you.
Yeah, and I would say sometimes I get a little nervous for people when they're like, "Oh, I've done this before, therefore we don't need to talk about it." It's like I realize that
Mhm.
you may understand something in air quotes, but every builder is going to be different. Every like real estate as a concept is not complicated, but at the same time, there are different nuances and details that come up that there's a reason no two real estate transactions are the same. Like some of
Right.
them are very cut and dry and you're very happy that it's not eventful. And then other times you learn so much on the job. And so these technical questions of ultimately managing expectations. I mean, this is a significant purchase. It's not like we're buying a $5 top at Goodwill. It's a lot of money, and
Mhm.
we need to understand what we're building, what we're signing, how the processes work. No two builders are the same.
Right.
Sometimes builders lose a subcontractor, and then they've got to find replacement, and that can cause delays. And so just being able to leverage your people and being willing to listen.
Mhm.
Sometimes that comes back to personalities. Some people just want to sign and, you just need to let them buy it and that's okay. But
Mhm.
I think also taking the time to be educated, to be willing to listen, is so huge because if something happens after closing,
Right.
God forbid, we can at least say that we talked about it rather than just being eager to sign something and get it done and letting emotions kind of rule the day. So I think, is there anything, Susan, that you're seeing in this market that you wish maybe buyers and sellers would either do or not do, or, particular questions they need to be asking right now?
I mean, again, I think they kind of need to make a list of what they don't know about, whether it's, and also your wants and needs. Like when you walk in and you're going to sit down, kind of know what you want, kind of know your budget within, if it's 400 to 450 or 350 to 4. With a builder, you don't have to get pre-qualified before. It's always a bonus if you do. A lot of the realtors will have their customers pre-qualified already, but it's not necessary because anytime you want to write a contract, it's contingent, 30-day contingency on financing. So if you think you can afford maybe a $500,000 house and we get to the financing and it's something that just isn't quite right for you, it's not going to work out. Obviously we don't want that to happen, but if that happens, then you have an out basically, and we would cancel your contract and we would refund your earnest money. So you always do have that protection. A lot of people aren't aware of that. And I also kind of touched about contingencies earlier as well about selling a house. So Some builders offer it, some builders don't. We didn't really offer it a whole lot during COVID because we had so much, um, we call it good traffic, or where we didn't need to take a contingency. It's kind of like when you're listing your own home. Are you going to take a contingent offer from a buyer? Are you going to take one that's cash? you know so you kind of have to realize if you walk into the model home and something's listed at 345, well, you're probably not going to put an offer in for 325, because like I actually mentioned to a customer yesterday, if you had your house listed at 400,000, would you take 380? You have to be super reasonable. There are things that we do and can negotiate, but within reason. And also too, another point that I haven't really touched upon, I wanted to touch upon really quickly, was financing. So with a builder, thank you. With a builder, well, DR Horton, we have DHI Mortgage. And so what that is, it's basically our in-house mortgage company. And we always usually offer some discounted rates. So it's a process between different builders offer those type of scenarios differently. Read the fine print. Okay, you may have to have a 780 or higher credit score, for instance, or maybe it's 680 or higher. For us, we're offering the 6.25% rate for 30-year fixed. And then for a government loan, we're offering 5.99. Now, we also, on top of that, will add $4,000 towards closing costs. So that's how we do it. We pay that money and put it in a pool. That could cost us $15,000 to $20,000 for a homeowner. So that's one approach that we use with DR Horton. There could be other approaches where, hey, we're giving you $20,000 towards closing costs. Well, that $20,000 needs to be used to buy down the rate, prepaids, closing costs. So those are really good finance questions to definitely ask. And not every rep will deep dive into the financing questions, but we all have loan officers, and that's their specialty. That's their wheelhouse. If it's a question that I'm not 100% on, I'll immediately refer them to my loan officer, because that's super important, right? Like, you want to know what your budget is a little bit, but that's always kind of one of the first questions I ask. Obviously, what style of home they want to move into. If it's a ranch 1-story, if it's a 2-story home. We have a couple multi-generational homes where we have the primary bedroom on the first floor, how many bedrooms they want, what their timeline is. So if they don't want to move in till next March or April, I'm not going to look at a house that's done in 30 days. We always have backlog that I can look in the system and find that perfect house. Maybe you love this floor plan, but you don't like the lot. Okay, no problem. Let's look at a different lot. So we have so much inventory right now that's not even listed. So my suggestion is contact your realtor, have your realtor reach out to me, give me their information, we'll get you registered, and then we can start the process and hopefully find that perfect home that meets your needs, and that you'll make a lot of good memories in.
All that sounds great. I think just continuing to have these conversations is really important, and I appreciate the protocol that you outlined there with talk to the realtor, have the realtor reach out. If you by accident reach out directly, mention who your realtor is and that they are representing you, because it's very important for a variety of different reasons, not because we're afraid of losing the sale. I mean, that does exist, but the motivation is to be entirely present for all of those conversations so that you don't accidentally say something, excuse me, that could be used against you. And to appropriately, like, we represent as realtors your best interests. The builder representative cares about you, but they represent the builder. And so we want to maintain boundaries with that. And you mentioned something earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And we as realtors bring a lot of experience to the table that help you ask questions that you didn't even know to ask. So involving us early helps us expedite and make the process more fun. And then I love also you pointing out the inventory that's not listed. I think a lot of times when we get in this research phase, which is my goal with these videos, is to help make things easier for those of you watching who are in your average 10-month real research phase, because it's what the number is before you will reach out to a realtor, which is fine. You know, I love to research as well. And, you know, just making sure that, you know, like, just because you don't see something on a website doesn't mean it's not available. You know, that's why we build relationships as realtors with different representatives. And again, just having these conversations is really important, because you're making big decisions with how to spend your money, where to raise your family, or, you know, have fun with the dog park. Yay, working from home. And, you know, just keeping those conversations going is so helpful. Is there any questions right now that you feel, Susan, people should be asking, or really just exploring more? I know you talked a lot about financing.
I mean, I think financing is kind of the big one right now, since interest rates are higher than we're used to, but it's still lower than the national average. So, you know, my, I guess, advice is just look at different options. There's a lot of different programs that I'm not even aware of, that clearly, you know, the client wouldn't be aware of necessarily. So use your resources. We're all here to help you make the best decision. Knowledge is power, right? So, you know, we're all a team. So when a customer comes in with their realtor, I feel like we're all a team. I'm here for them. You're here for them. You know, the builder, which is our construction team, we're all in this together. And the process isn't always smooth. It's new construction, right? And we have so many hands involved in building a home. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but we'll make it as close to that as we can. And if something's not right, we'll fix it within guidelines, right? So we also go by the Builders Association of Greater Indianapolis, which is called BAGI for short. And it's a book that basically we will send it in PDF form to email out, but that's what the builder uses. That's code for us, basically. So some things that you may think, hey, that's not how my friend, the electrician, or Bob the plumber did, you know, said is correct. Well, there's different ways to do it. So I respect his opinion. This is how we do it as a builder. It falls under, you know, correct way of doing it through BAGI, which is obviously a respected organization in Indianapolis. And we go through inspections. We have 6 to 7 inspections throughout the build process that you definitely won't see if you're buying a home that's only 30 days from close. But we have a lot of inspections. If we don't pass inspection and the guidelines through BAGI, we get fined. We have to have that trade or vendor come back out, fix the problem. We have to pay for that. So we try the first time to pass inspection, but it happens. You know, they may catch things that, you know, we didn't catch with a vendor that was doing some work. And also, to another question I think a lot of homeowners aren't aware of, they'll ask the question, can we do a personal inspection? Absolutely. At your cost, but you absolutely can. We just have guideline, it has to have $1 million liability insurance, because they are on our job site. Construction can be dangerous in case something happened. And just give us a heads up. Let us know, you know, depending on what type timing in the process that you are purchasing, we can do different inspections. It doesn't just have to be a final inspection. But again, talk to your realtor, find someone that is respected in the community, and you absolutely can do an inspection, but it has to be within the guidelines of when it's appropriate for our time frame, because we have a strict timeline where we, you know, need to build the house in, and we're not going to wait on putting carpet in for 2 weeks because your inspector can't show up when we need him to show up. So we have guidelines, but we're also very flexible with requests from our homeowners as well.
Yeah, all of that sounds great. I think it's, again, just a testament of, you know, continuing to do research, talk to your professionals, and especially with home inspections, all of that's really important. So, and we've talked about that on other interviews as well. I think just to close this out, we've talked a lot about tips. Certainly if you found this interview valuable, please leave us a comment. If there's questions that you're looking to get answered in this series, please let me know. If there are other communities that you're interested in and want to learn more about, feel free to tag that in the comments. Please consider sharing this either video with a friend who might be thinking of moving, or subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I'm really terrible about promoting all of that. I hate to sound salesy, and but that's part of doing this, is the gentle reminder. So how you can support my business is, so I try to work primarily through sphere of influence and referral. I love working with great people. And then if you're considering relocating to Indianapolis or purchasing investment properties, I can help you. I joke, if anyone living and breathing of sound mind over the age of 18, I can help in any capacity with real estate needs. So, and then I've got referrals as well for agents across the country and around the world, which is really spectacular. I love being able to connect a friend in Alabama to a great realtor in North Carolina, and help them on both sides have great representation. So if that's you, just know that just because if I don't live in your state or area, I can help you in some capacity. So Susan, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything in closing thoughts that you want to leave our audience with?
Just want to say thank you for allowing me to talk a little bit more about Danville and Miles Farm. If you need help anywhere in the city, Metro Indy, I'm here to help, and don't be afraid to reach out.
Sounds great. Yeah, Danville's a cute little town. If you haven't been there, it's little, but it's growing, and there's a lot going on that side of town. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.